Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well. I pray to God that you and your family are safe and happy. Today's story takes us back to a defining moment of World War II. This is not a story of legends or myths, but the real decisions, mistakes, and realities of war. The Pacific Ocean is calm on the morning of the 19th of June 1944, but beneath that calm waits annihilation. Far west of Saipan, the Imperial Japanese Navy moves its remaining carrier strength toward the U.S. Fifth Fleet. This is Operation Go, Japan's final attempt to stop the American advance in the Mariana Islands. On the flight deck of the aircraft carrier Zuikoku, Petty Officer First Class Hiroyoshi Nishizawa checks the skin of his Mitsubishi 6M50. He's already an ace, known among pilots for his aggressive instincts and flawless control in the air. But today, reputation means nothing. Fuel, distance, radar, and training will decide everything. Nishizawa knows the numbers are wrong. Japan has fewer aircraft, fewer trained pilots, less fuel. The Americans have carriers positioned beyond visual range, guided by radar Japan cannot match. Yet orders are orders. The fleet commander believes a single decisive airstrike can still change the war. Engines start in waves. The deck trembles under propeller whoosh. Nishizawa climbs into his cockpit, strapping himself in with practiced comm. Around him, younger pilots avoid eye contact. Many have less than 100 hours of flight time. They trust veterans like Nishizawa to bring them home. The Zero lifts off into heavy cloud and glare. The formation assembles slowly, climbing to altitude. Japanese doctrine demands long-range strikes, but that range comes at a cost. No escort fighters with enough fuel to return safely. Nishizawa knows this before the first American aircraft appears. Hours pass, fuel gauges sink. Then, without warning, the sky explodes. American F-6F Hellcats drop from above, guided by radar vectors, attacking out of the sun. This is not a duel. It is a calculated interception. Nishizawa reacts instantly, rolling hard, pulling into a tight turn that only a Zero can survive. A Hellcat overshoots. Another does not. Around him, aircraft burn and fall. Radios scream. Formations dissolve. The Japanese attack never reaches the US carriers. Instead, it is being destroyed piece by piece in open sky. Nishizawa shoots down an American aircraft clean. Fast, instinctive, but it changes nothing. He watches inexperienced pilots die in seconds, their planes trailing smoke into the sea. There is no room for anger, no room for panic, only fuel, altitude, and escape vectors. He turns west, alone now, scanning the sky for enemies and the ocean for a place to land. The battle has only begun, but the outcome is already slipping beyond reach. Far behind him, the American fleet prepares for the second wave, and this time, there will be nowhere left to run.
Hiroyoshi Nishizawa flies low, barely above the Pacific, the Zero's engine uneven now, strained by damage and long hours at full throttle. The fuel needle trembles near empty. Behind him, the sky is quiet not from mercy, but because there is nothing left to fight for up there. By early afternoon, the truth spreads through broken radio calls and silence. The first strike has failed. Completely. Japanese air groups have been intercepted and destroyed. Far from the American fleet. No. Bombs have hit their targets. No carriers are burning. The gamble of Operation Go is collapsing in real time. Nishizawa reaches Guam as the sun begins to sink. The island is already under American pressure, its airfields cratered. Supplies thin, he brings the Zero down hard, tires screaming, brakes barely holding. Ground crew rush in, counting bullet holes, shocked that the aircraft and the man are still alive. There is no rest. Intelligence officers demand reports. How many carriers? How many fighters? Nishizawa answers with precision, but his voice is flat. He has seen radar-guided interceptions with ruthless coordination. He understands now fully that the balance of air power has shifted beyond recovery. Night falls over the Mariana Islands. Far out to sea, American carriers recover aircraft and prepare counterstrikes. They have lost planes, but not pilots at this scale. Their decks are organized, disciplined, methodical. Radar scopes glow in darkened combat information centers. The enemy is exposed. Before dawn on the 20th of June 1944, Nishizawa is airborne again, this time in defense. American aircraft begin sweeping Guam, hunting anything that moves. The Zero is no longer a hunter. It is bait. Hellcats arrive in pairs and fours, fast and deliberate. Nishizawa dives into cloud, using instinct and terrain. Anti-aircraft fire rises from the island, inaccurate but constant. The sky becomes a layered chaos of smoke bursts, vapor trails, and sudden death. He watches a Zero beside him shatter under gunfire, the pilot never ejecting. Nishizawa cannot slow down. He cannot look back. Survival now depends on reading the enemy's angles when they commit, when they break, when they climb. By afternoon, the Americans pull back. They have other priorities. Their fleet has located the Japanese carriers. Far out over the Philippine Sea, U.S. strike aircraft race toward a retreating enemy. Japanese ships turn desperately into the wind, launching what fighters they have left. Nishizawa watches helplessly from Guam as smoke pillars rise on the horizon Taihu, Shakaku heat and burning. The carriers that trained him, carried him, defined naval air power for a generation, are being erased in hours. As darkness returns, Nishizawa sits on the wing of his aircraft, helmet in his hands. He knows this battle is not ending, it is narrowing. Japan's air war is becoming a series of desperate defenses, each smaller than the last. And soon he will be ordered back into the sky, again against odds that no skill can overcome. The morning of the 21st of June, 1944, rises over Guam with the smell of fuel and burned metal. Hirosho Nishizawa is awake before dawn, sitting on a wooden crate near the revetments, listening to distant artillery. The Battle of the Philippine Sea is officially over, but for the pilots left alive, the danger is now constant, unrelenting. Reports confirm what everyone already senses. Shakaku is gone. Taihu is gone. Hundreds of carrier pilots have died without ever seeing an American deck. What remains of Japanese naval aviation is fragmented, land-based, and exposed. Nishizawa understands the implication immediately. There will be no safe recovery anymore. Every sortie risks capture or death. Shortly after sunrise, American reconnaissance planes appear again. They are cautious, high, untouchable. Their presence is not harassment, it is surveillance. The U.S. Navy controls the airspace now. Guam is being mapped, measured, and prepared for destruction. Nishizawa is ordered up for another interception. The Zero feels lighter now, not because it is fast, but because it carries less armor, less fuel, less hope. He climbs into broken cloud, eyes searching for distant flashes of silver. The Americans come in waves, fighters sweeping ahead, bombers behind, methodical and layered. Nishizawa dives from altitude, aiming for surprise. He fires once, twice. A Hellcat rolls away, damaged but flying. The return fire is immediate, precise. He breaks low, skimming treetops, using terrain like a shield. This is no longer a contest of maneuverability. It is mathematics, speed, energy, numbers. The Zero survives only where the Hellcat cannot follow. By noon, the airfield is under direct attack. Bombs walk across runways. Fuel dumps erupt. Aircraft burn in their revetments, never having a chance to take off. Ground crews scatter, then return, then scatter again. There is no order, only repetition under fire. Nishizawa lands as explosions hammer the far end of the strip. He taxis through smoke, engine coughing. A fragment tears into the wing just as he cuts throttle. He climbs out unhurt, but his aircraft is finished. That afternoon, orders arrive. Remaining pilots are to evacuate Guam before the island falls. Transport aircraft are scarce. Space is limited. Nishizawa is told to leave behind machines he knows will never fly again. As night approaches, he boards a transport under blackout conditions. The runway is barely visible. The engines spool up slowly. When the aircraft lifts off, Guam drops away into darkness and fire. From the open hatch, Nishizawa watches the island recede. He knows many friends are still there with no way out. The American noose is tightening, island by island, base by base. The flight turns west toward Japan's shrinking defensive perimeter. Nishizawa closes his eyes, not in prayer, but in calculation. Every mile flown now is one less mile Japan can afford to lose. And ahead, waiting patiently, is another battle he cannot avoid. The transport lands in Japan before dawn. The runway lights come on only at the last moment, then vanish again. This is routine now. Fuel is scarce. Aircraft are hidden during daylight. The war has come home. Hiroyoshi Nishizawa steps onto familiar soil, but nothing feels familiar. Bases are crowded with damaged planes and exhausted men. Replacement aircraft arrive slowly, often incomplete. New pilots arrive faster, young, quiet, and visibly unprepared. Nishizawa understands his role immediately. He is not just a fighter pilot anymore. He is a standard others are told to follow. Within days, he is assigned to the defense of the Japanese home islands, operating from southern fields as American carrier task forces probe closer. Every alarm brings fighters, scrambling to intercept planes that appear on radar long before they are visible to the eye. The first interception comes without ceremony. American fighters approach at altitude, confident, organized. Nishizawa climbs to meet them, using every ounce of discipline to conserve energy. When contact is made, it is brief and violent. He damages one Hellcat, possibly destroys it, but cannot stay to confirm. There are too many others. On the ground, the pattern is clear. Every sortie costs Japan pilots it cannot replace. Every American loss is absorbed. Nishizawa watches young flyers take off and never return. Their absence is felt immediately in the quiet of the dispersal areas. Training becomes compressed, desperate. Nishizawa demonstrates defensive maneuvers, energy management, escape tactics. He does not teach heroics. He teaches survival. But even survival has limits when fuel, loads are light, and interception points are dictated by enemy radar. By late summer 1944, the Americans are striking deeper. The Zero, once feared, is now predictable. Armor is thin. Speed is insufficient. Nishizawa compensates with positioning, timing, restraint but restraint is no longer rewarded. During one interception, he finds himself alone against multiple enemies. He dives hard, pulling into cloud, feeling the airframe shudder. Tracers rip through vapor behind him. For a moment, the war reduces to breath, pressure, instinct. He lands safely. Others do not. That night, Nishizawa walks the perimeter of the airfield. Searchlights sweep the sky. Anti-aircraft crews wait beside their guns. Somewhere beyond the horizon, American carriers are turning into the wind. He knows what comes next. The battles will not be decided far out at sea anymore. They will be fought above cities, factories, and airfields. Japan's margin is gone. As sirens begin to sound again, Nishizawa turns back toward the revetments. Engines are starting. The sky is filling. And this time there will be no distance left to trade. Autumn 1944 settles over Japan with gray skies and longer nights. Hiroyoshi Nishizawa is still flying, but the rhythm of war has changed again. Interceptions come not as isolated events, but as relentless sequences: alarms, launches, losses, silence, then alarms again. American carrier aircraft now strike with confidence close to the home islands. Fighter sweeps arrive first, clearing the sky. Bombers follow, precise and protected. Nishizawa knows the pattern well enough to predict it, but prediction does not equal control. Fuel limits force early turns. Altitude is always contested. Numbers are never equal. During one major interception, Nishizawa leads a small section upward through layered cloud. Visibility is poor. Radar directions arrive late. Suddenly, Hellcats appear head-on, faster than expected. The engagement collapses into fragments almost immediately. He fires, brakes, climbs again. A Zero behind him stalls under pressure and falls away, spiraling into cloud. There is no explosion, just disappearance. Nishizawa presses on, forcing himself not to look. The Americans disengage when it suits them. Nishizawa lands with ammunition expended and fuel near empty. The ground crews count aircraft. The count grows smaller every week. By now, new orders circulate openly. Special attack units are being formed elsewhere. Nishizawa hears the words spoken without emphasis, without ceremony. He understands what it means and what it does not. He is not assigned, but the knowledge sits heavy in the airfields, changing how men speak to one another. Nishizawa continues to fly conventional missions. He insists on it. His authority protects him for now. He teaches discipline to pilots who know discipline may no longer save them. In early October 1944, he is rotated briefly away from frontline interceptions. The strain is visible, even when he is silent. Mechanics notice it. Pilots notice it. Nishizawa has survived everything. The air war has thrown at him, but survival has narrowed his future. On the 26th of October, he boards a transport aircraft bound for the Philippines, part of a rotation to reposition experienced pilots as the battle lines collapse southward. The mission is routine on paper. It is not meant to be heroic. It is meant to be efficient. The aircraft flies low over water, maintaining radio silence. There is no escort. Fuel and speed are the priority. The sky looks empty. It is not. American fighters appear suddenly, slicing down from altitude. The transport has no chance to maneuver. Defensive fire is minimal. One burst is enough. The aircraft shudders. Smoke fills the cabin. There is no time to react, no time to calculate. The ocean rises rapidly beneath them. For Nishizawa, the war ends not in a duel, not in a last stand but in transit, between battles, between decisions. The aircraft plunges toward the sea. The transport strikes the ocean at high speed, tearing apart on impact. Metal folds inward. Fuel ignites briefly, then vanishes beneath the surface. The Mindoro Strait closes over the wreckage without pause, without sound that carries. There are no survivors. On the 26th of October, 1944, Petty Officer First Class Hiroyoshi Nishizawa, Imperial Japanese Navy, is killed in transit unarmed, between assignments far from a cockpit. One of Japan's most skilled fighter pilots does not die in a turning, fight, or a final charge. He dies because the air war no longer allows movement without control of the sky. American fighters circle once, then depart. Their mission is complete. They record another aircraft destroyed, another interception successful. Names are unknown to them. They do not need to be known. News reaches Japan slowly. When it does, it is brief. No ceremony, no details. The war has progressed beyond individual recognition. Units absorb the loss and continue preparing for the next alarm. Nishizawa's absence is felt immediately by those who trained beside him. Younger pilots ask questions no one can answer. Mechanics mark one fewer name on assignment boards already crowded with gaps. The Zero he last flew remains parked, awaiting an engine that will never arrive. By the end of 1944, the battle Nishizawa fought his entire career has been decided. Carrier-based naval aviation, once Japan's spear, is shattered. Radar, logistics, pilot training pipelines, and overwhelming industrial capacity have determined the outcome. The Great Marianas Turkish Shoot was not a single day of defeat. It was a line crossed, after which recovery was impossible. Nishizawa's life traces that line precisely from early dominance to attrition, to containment, to loss in transit. There is no speech to close this story. Only arithmetic. Aircraft lost. Pilots lost. Distance lost. Above the Pacific, the air belongs to one side now. The war will continue, but its shape has changed forever. And for those who fought it from the cockpit, the ending comes not with clarity, but with silence